Yo, 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 another guitar lesson here. We've got a comment slash question here from Charles Fellows. I would like to hear your explanation on what modes to play and why on the chord changes in that progression. I'm glad you asked, Charles. I love breaking this stuff down. So let's take a look at the song here, and we're just going to take it bit by bit. So let's first talk about the key center and the modes that fit over these chords. So we have D major, C major, and G major. Now typically, this is in the key of G major, and some of this stuff comes from studying. I just know G major so well that it's obvious to me that we're in the key of G because C is the 4 chord, D is the 5 chord of G. So if you notice, it all just wants to resolve to G. Now, what's cool about this song and about modal playing is that this is resolving to D. Okay? So you can hear it because we start on the D. Back to the D and resolves there. So D, C, G, D. Now part of that is because when you establish the key center or the resolution, I guess, you start typically the first chord you play. That's why a lot of times in songs the first chord will tell you what the key is. Not all the time, but a lot of times. Because our ear hears that. And so our ear just wants to come back there. So that's going to resolve. And that's just part of the way the song is written. But it has to do with resolution. So that being said, D is the 5 of G major. And so if you build a scale off the 5th note, you get mixolydian. So you can say that this progression is in D mixolydian. So we're not thinking about D as the 5 chord and the C is the 4 and the G is the 1. We're thinking D is 1, C is a flat 7, and G is the 4 chord, back to 1. Okay? So it has a lot to do with perspective and some of this modal stuff. I don't know how long you've been studying it, Charles, but it comes in pieces. You get these little aha moments, these kind of breakthroughs. So if any of this stuff isn't clicking, just keep learning. This stuff will start to set in. So, but I'm just going to assume you're following me at this point. So that means that we can play D mixolydian as the scale to jam over this. I would call it the A section. Now there's different ways of thinking. If you think of it just as one section, like that section there, then you can just think D mixolydian, and whenever you want to resolve something, just wait until it comes back to the D and resolve it. So I'll show you kind of in a little example here. So I'll just do a little bit of a loop. Taking mixolydian. See, it's back to the D already. So I could just kind of play in that D mixolydian the whole time. Because I'm basically ignoring the chord change. I'm playing over top the chord change. All these notes are in the key with those chords. So even though I might not be consciously thinking about playing those chord changes, the C to the G, because I know ultimately it resolves on D, and most of that is over a D chord. Okay? that would be the easiest way to play that modally, is just think, okay, this is D Mixolydian, and this is 90% of what people are going to be thinking, maybe even 99% of anybody playing modally, because when the chords change quick, you don't really have time to say much in that mode. But I'm going to tell you what those modes are anyway, just so you can kind of see how to think modally. So since we're in the key of G major, aka D Mixolydian, C is the 4 of G, and I know if you build off the scale off the 4 chord, you get that Lydian sound. Now the thing about modes is it's only gonna work over that C chord. And so if I played, for example, maybe play a little slower here, so like here's the C. You could hear that. You can hear that now. It's really quick. But if I did, so let's say I'll just try to hit that C here. So let's say so there. That wasn't too bad. So I'm getting that flat 7 sound, or not flat 7, excuse me, that sharp 11 sound in there, which doesn't really sound, I mean, I know your writer is kind of an old country, bluegrassy, folky kind of song, so you don't really think of that Lydian. But it kind of works there. Well, it works harmonically. It doesn't kind of work. That's exactly how to think if you want to think modally. The last mode would just be the G major scale, because again, we're in G major. So we got Ionian for the technical name. So we got Mixolydian over the D, Lydian over the C, Ionian over the G, aka just the G major scale, back to the D Mixolydian. So if you start playing this way and you slow it down, you're going to start to realize why a lot of people might just think of it as Mixolydian, because it just moves through those so quickly. But anyway, that's what's going on. Because modally, basically the idea is every time the chord change happens, the mode changes. You're thinking different key center or different resolution point. D, everything's going to resolve to the D. C, if we hung on that C for a while, if we did like, let's see here, we'll do D, and then C, D Mixolydian, C Lydian, is that Lydian? Back to Mixolydian. So yeah, just a little listening example. Modes, especially if you're first starting to learn and how to incorporate them, a big hiccup, a big trap is to think you have to know the mode over each chord. You don't have to. And sometimes it happens too quick to even try to pull anything off. It just, you end up getting in your head too much, thinking too much, and you kind of lose the flow. So, but if you have longer periods like that, I just went back and forth, then those modes will start to kind of come through and those notes will be more available. So yeah. So let's take a look at the next section. So, and of course that G, I mentioned that G, just play the G major scale, fits on that one. So the next section we go to F to C. Now this is a key change. I know it's a key change because again, I study music, I study the scales, basically. It's just I know my scales. I know F is not in the key of G, and I know that's where we were. So when I'm listening to this, it's an obvious key change here, right here. And then we come back. So it's just a little bit of a, let's just go somewhere else for a second and then come back. Now, what ends up happening here is you can think of it different ways, but I'm thinking this is just F major to C. So it'd be like 1 to 5. 1, 5, 1, 5. And then back to D Mixolydian is how I think of that, because we're back to the home base here. So if I'm thinking we're really rooted in F major, I can just think about how do you play over F, 1 to 4? Or 1 to 5, excuse me. Messed that up. Added Lydian there. But so really what I'm thinking is F major over the F, and if you want to, C Mixolydian over the C, because that's 5 of the F, of the key of F. Now, again, if it's going back and forth pretty quick, we can just think F major. Let's see here. And resolve into the D. So hitting that F sharp is just money. So so I'm thinking like F major. It's just at 1 and 5 back and forth. So that would be Ionian, that would be the mode. If you want to think C Mixolydian over the C, let's just see here. It's just really quick. Again, so when they're the quick motions, just pick a mode that, I feel like this is, it's all really going back to that D. So I'm thinking maybe just play the F major scale pattern across the fretboard. And that's just kind of building tension to get released. And then you hit that D Mixolydian, and then it's kind of it's really nice transition there. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good little breakdown of the modes here. I can only, I'm not sure exactly what you know about it. So, but that is how I look at it, and hope this helps a little bit. And if you have any other questions, that was a great one. I always like diving in to this stuff. I'm nerding out a little bit with you guys. So hit me up in the comments if you have any other questions. Peace.